For you, your birthday is just another Tuesday. You tell yourself you are simply low maintenance. You genuinely believe you don't need the fuss, the cake, or the forced attention. You might even feel a strange rising tension as the date approaches, a subtle urge to turn off your notifications, stay late at the office, or keep the day as quiet as possible. You aren't being difficult. You aren't even being humble. You are staying safe. You spent years perfecting the art of being easy. You learned early on that the less you expected, the less it hurt when the world was too busy to notice. You convinced yourself that not wanting anything was a sign of maturity when in reality, it was a shield. You created a world where you are the one in control of the silence so that no one else can hand it to you as a disappointment. Now, as an adult, you feel a flash of cringe when the spotlight turns toward you. You feel like an imposter in your own celebration, but somewhere beneath the quiet, beneath the I don't need anything, there is a part of you that has never stopped hoping. A part that still lights up just for a second when someone remembers. You were never indifferent, only careful. It is not too late to let that part of you finally come home. You've spent years telling yourself that you're simply easy. You say you don't need attention. You say you don't need a special day. You call it humility, maturity, or emotional independence. Stop. That story isn't the truth. It's armor. You learned early on that your needs made other people uncomfortable. So you crafted an identity that asks for nothing, expects nothing, and pretends to feel nothing. You didn't become modest. You became invisible to survive. You didn't become low maintenance. You became self-contained so no one could disappoint you again. Here's how that identity shows up today. 10 signs that your birthday indifference is actually self-protection. 1. You cringe when someone sings to you. 2. You schedule work or chores to stay busy. 3. You turn off your social media notifications. 4. You feel like an imposter when receiving a gift. 5. You apologize when someone brings a cake. 6. You mock people who celebrate loudly. 7. You feel relieved when the day is over. 8. You freeze when asked, "What do you want?" 9. You'd rather celebrate others than be celebrated yourself. 10. You believe wanting to be seen is a weakness. These aren't personality quirks. They are survival strategies dressed as preferences, and they tell a deeper story, a story your body remembers even if your mind has forgotten. To understand that story, we have to look at the mechanism beneath the mask. Why do these signs appear so consistently, almost like an emotional fingerprint? Because your nervous system learned to associate celebration with danger, not joy. When a child's milestones are met with silence, dismissal, or indifference, the brain forms a rule. Don't expect anything. It's safer that way. First, your system developed anticipatory disappointment. You learned to numb your hopes before anyone else could crush them. That's why you shrug off your birthday. You pre-reject the day before it can reject you. Second, your reward signals shifted. In a healthy environment, attention feels like warmth. In your environment, attention felt unpredictable, sometimes absent, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes loaded with other people's emotions, so your brain chose the safest option. Stay small, stay quiet, stay invisible. Third, emotional numbing became your baseline. You didn't mute your joy because you lacked joy. You muted it because joy made you vulnerable. Vulnerability meant risk. Risk meant pain. So your system chose silence. Those 10 signs aren't coincidences. They are the echoes of a younger you who learned that being celebrated was uncertain, unsteady, and unsafe. But here's what your nervous system never learned. You are no longer that child. You're no longer trapped in that silence. And your birthday doesn't have to be a battlefield. It can become the day you reclaim the right to be seen. For 99% of human history, being celebrated by the tribe was not about vanity. It was about survival. A ritual or a celebration was the tribe's way of saying, "We see you. You are one of us. You are worth our protection." When your milestones were sidelined as a child, your ancient, primal brain felt the terror of being uncounted. To survive that pain, your system decided that if the tribe wouldn't celebrate you, you would stop needing it. This is why, as an adult, you might look at others who celebrate with a sense of judgment. You might call it childish, but that judgment is often just your old survival armor speaking. It is easier to mock the spotlight than to admit how much it hurts to be left in the dark. The truth is, you are worthy of celebration not for what you do, but simply because you are here. You are no longer a child dependent on a tribe that cannot see you. You are an adult who can finally afford to put down the shield of cynicism and master the machinery that kept you safe. You are not looking for more attention. You are looking for the courage to be seen. When you implement these 5 shifts, the armor of indifference begins to crack. 1. The private celebration, the gift of self-witness. On your next birthday, do one thing that is purely for your own joy before you tell anyone else. Teach your nervous system that your joy does not require external permission to be valid. 2. The gratitude audit, the end of the cringe. When someone offers you a happy birthday, practice saying thank you without a self-deprecating joke. Every time you accept a kind word, you repair the old reflex that tells you that you are too much. 3. The inner circle, the power of safety. You do not need a stadium of people. Choose 2 or 3 people who truly see you and allow them to honor the day. Trade the exhaustion of hiding for the peace of being known. 4. The legacy of presence, the right to be noticed. Stop measuring your worth by how much work you did that day. Practice being useless for just a few hours. As you refuse to earn your space, you realize you are worthy simply because you exist. 5. The value pivot from utility to celebration. You stop being a machine that produces and start being a human who experiences. This is where the isolation ends, by finally allowing yourself to be a part of the human story. The quiet, modest version of you was never the whole truth. It was just a shield you carried to protect a heart that was tired of waiting. But today, I'm asking you to be brave. Not the bravery of doing more work, but the bravery of allowing yourself to hope. For once, give yourself permission to be the center of the room. Even if it feels awkward, even if it stirs up a quiet fear, stay in that light. Remember, the people who love you are not burdened by celebrating you. They are honored by it. When you allow them to see you, you aren't taking up space. You are giving them the gift of your presence. Your courage to be celebrated is the bridge that finally lets them in. That tiny, flickering hope you've kept hidden for years. It is time to let it breathe. You are not a burden to be managed. You are a life to be honored. You are seen. You are valued. You are here. Shed the weight. Ignite your inner light. Step into the sun and enjoy the spotlight, at least for one day, your birthday.